So when I was tuning into my week, I had appointments and there was one appointment I just didn't feel good about. I thought, I really want to do this. Like logically, my body wants to do it, my brain wants to do it. But intuitively, I feel kind of like I need to be on guard. Well, the good news is I listened to my spirit guides and they definitely kept me protected. I'll tell you more in this episode. Welcome to Spiritual and Ambitious. I'm your host, Whitney McNeill. I'm a certified medium and spiritual teacher, and I help spiritual and ambitious souls just like you live your life purpose through your career and attract abundance by connecting into your intuition and spirit guides. Let's get spiritual and ambitious. I want to give a shout out to those of you who have found me over on Instagram. Thank you for submitting ideas for future episodes. So if you haven't already, I'd love for you to follow me over at Instagram.com/messenger of spirit and send me a DM and just let me know that you're listening to the podcast and what you would love to hear more about. And thank you all for the reviews. We have a podcast review giveaway. So I'd love for you to participate. You can go to messengerofspirit.com/podcast review and I'll link to it over in the show notes. All right. So today I am talking about trusting your spirit guides. Oh my goodness. We get so excited to really tap into our intuition and learn more about our guides. But then when it comes time to actually getting the information, we can freak out a little bit. So you already know how your spirit guides can help you in your life and your business and really aligning you to your life purpose for more abundance and joy, more money. Now, sometimes you say, wait a minute, why do my spirit guides care about money? They don't necessarily care about money. They care about your alignment, and money is a tool to help you get there. So our spirit guides do all these amazing things for us. But then we say, I don't know if I want to see their messages. I don't know. It's freaking me out a little bit. Well, the good news is there's 4 main ways or 4 intuitive languages on how they communicate with you. So through sight, through sound, through feeling, or through knowing, or in your body. So if you have a fear of seeing something from your guides, there are a couple things you can do. So the first thing I hear when someone is really saying, Whitney, I want to see my messages. Then they go, I don't really want to see. I'm scared that some spirit person's going to pop out from behind the door. Well, one thing you can do is ask your spirit guides to give you baby steps. Be honest, because if you're asking them over and over to see and you're really not ready for it, you're going to end up running away like I did for years. Now, they're only going to give you what you're ready for, but you need to be in communication with them. Like, I really want to see you, but I'm a little nervous. Can you just start small? So normally what happens when spirit helps give you messages through sight is they will give these messages to you through what I call spirit lights. And so in spirit lights, they come through in this little form that's an easier way to communicate so that you're not necessarily seeing a full manifestation. So you can talk to your spirit guides about what you're comfortable with and what you might not be comfortable with too. Another thing that you can do is ask your spirit guides to reroute it. So let's just say that you are really nervous about it. You can ask one of your spirit guides to help you with opening up your intuitive language in a different area. So through feeling, through knowing, or through hearing. That's one thing that you can do. So this is the first step. Ask them to show you things in smaller ways and smaller steps, and then build that trust each and every time. So that's the one thing that I wanted to get off of the table right now is that fear part of it that comes up. So once you really start developing your intuition and understanding the four intuitive languages, well, how do I actually trust it? So a lot of my students will ask me, well, what comes next? How do I do this? So I always tell my four intuitive languages students, talk to your guides daily. When you talk to your guides daily, it provides a consistency with them and it increases the rapport that you both have. So it's similar to any relationship in your life. You've probably heard me say this before. You need to communicate. The more that you feel their presence, you know that they are around, the more they interact with you, the more familiar they become with you. So you don't feel so weird. If you've ever had that feeling that you're not alone in the room and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm just not alone. Like, who is it? Oh my gosh, I don't know. The more that you talk to your guides and invite them in to help you, the more that you start to get to know their energy, their personalities, and the funny things that they'll say sometimes, and they become more of a staple in your life. So I'd like for you to talk with them daily in your meetings with your guides, but also invite them to help. So invite them into help, invite them into your brainstorming session. So let's just say that you're like, I need to figure out what in the heck I'm going to offer in my business. Then I'd like for you to ask your spirit guides to come in on the chat. Like, hey, I'd love your input. I'd love some ideas. I'd love some inspiration. And then what you can do is receive your messages based on how it comes through. So I tell my four intuitive languages students to do these exercises based on their intuitive language. So one could be, I'm going to get a pen and paper, and I'm just going to write the first things that come out of my hand. Or I'm going to just talk into a microphone, like a voice recorder, and just say the first things that come out. So just allowing your guides to chime in on that too. Now, of course, hearing them, feeling their energy and their messages, seeing them and seeing their messages through symbols can be a great one too. So invite them in so that you become more aware that they're with you. So if you've ever been freaked out in the room where it's like, oh my gosh, I'm not alone, instead of being freaked out, know that those are your guides who support you. So you could say, I am so supported by my guides. So that's one simple, quick tip is you could say, I am so supported by my guides. I feel my guides supporting me. So those are one of the things that you can do. Now, if you were freaked out and you felt like, I don't know who's around me, you could make this simple statement of, I call upon my spirit guides, I call upon my protector guides, and I only allow my spirit guides around me. So those are just some quick tips that I usually tell my students. So if you're questioning if it's your guides or not, one of the things you could do is ask for validation. So you could always say, please show me a clear message that this is my guide. So if you've already developed a rapport with your guides, you're going to know more about their personality. You're going to know how they deliver the message. You'll recognize their energetic signature. So you can ask your spirit guides a little bit more about, hey, show me a sign for validation. Now, this is something that you can start doing too, just when you receive messages. So if you are in your meetings with your spirit guides and you're just really unsure, like, was that my mind that made that up? Or was that a real spirit thought? You can certainly ask your spirit guides for, hey, could you show me a validation that this was real? Or can you show it to me again in a different way? So I absolutely know I got it. Now, I always tell my students, don't rely on that and be doing that all the time, because then it's like, you're never going to trust your guides if you're constantly asking for validation. You got to take the training wheels off, right? But when you're first starting out, this can be a great, like, oh yeah, okay, I've got this. Now, your validation can come in the form of an animal, a message from your friend that says, I just felt like I should be telling you this. I actually did that the other day for one of my friends. I had this idea for a service and offering, and I was so excited to share it with her. And she's like, I totally know why you're telling me this, because I've been thinking about something very similar for like a year. So it can be a validating like that. And you could also ask for specific validations as well. But I usually like to say, hey, let spirit kind of work their magic so that you can get your validation, and they'll send you a sign that this is what it is. Now, another way to get your validation is to write the messages they give you down. When you write the messages down that they give you, it becomes real. It's not a passing thought. You don't question it. Like, did I think of that? I mean, was that an idea I had, or was that an intuitive message I had? Write the things down. That way you have a record of it. And when things come true or the opportunity presents itself, you can go back and go, oh, yeah, I totally understand. And I'm trusting you now more because the things that you told me have happened. Now, some of these things can manifest themselves in a day, 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months, or even 3 years. But if you have a record of it, it's really helpful. Now, there are some things that you won't be able to go back and trace and go, well, now I understand, exactly why that happened. Sometimes it's just you don't need to know. What you did need to know was not to do it. Or what you did need to know was that you need to do this one thing. So you're not always going to know the entire story, but you start to trust because you've developed and traced back the stories of these other areas. So this is one way that you logically can go, oh yeah, of course I can trust them even more. Now, one of the things that I would say is working on your inner trust issues. So if you have trouble trusting in general, it could be, I have trouble trusting other people. I have trouble trusting myself. And what I'm going to ask you is, do you trust yourself? Do you trust others? And really, depending on the level of your trust issues, this might be something that you need to work out with a counselor. And I don't mean to be triggering, but it's important that you really say, I need somebody qualified to help me figure out why I'm not trusting. This could be something that you have tried to do and you felt inspired to do. And you said, oh, I thought I trusted my intuition at one point, but it just didn't work out. So my questions would be, well, why didn't it work out? Right? Is it your perspective? Sometimes our ego's like, working out means this. If something works out, it means that I got this outcome. Versus your spirit teacher guide might be like, no, it did work out because you didn't need that situation and you learned these lessons that you were contracted to learn. So it's important to understand that things do work out in your favor. It just might not be the ego's result of what would be it. So let's say you're like, well, I applied for the job and I didn't get it, so it didn't work out. You put the energy out there, right? Your spirit guides know that you're ready and they can send you a new opportunity. If you were really holding tight onto a specific relationship and they're like, I was really hoping this would work out. It did work out for the best if you're not with that person. If you are in a job situation and you want to create a new offer or you put it out to the masses, right? Like, I have this new offer and you feel like it didn't work out. Why didn't it work out? What was going on there? Now, if you feel like I was told to offer this service and nobody is buying it, what the heck? Then I'm going to say to you, there's a lot of things it could be. It could be a marketing message. It could be that people didn't see it, that you need to talk about it more, or it could be an energetic issue. Are you afraid? Are you not confident in yourself? Do you feel like you're not worthy of the offer? Are you a little scared? So energetically, you can be blocking it, even though your spirit guides said, hey, go do this. So really working on the trust issues in other areas of your life are going to be helpful. So if you're around people who personally you just don't trust, whether it's coworkers, friends, family, then naturally it's going to be hard to trust a spirit guide. Your spirit guide does not have a physical body, which makes it even more so like, are you sure this is real? So these are some of the things that you might want to look at in your life. What areas am I not trusting and why? All right, we're going to talk about this story that happened to me when I was traveling and how I trusted my guides. And I'm going to be giving you some other tips right after this short break. So stay with me. This episode is sponsored by my free Spirit Guide Masterclass. Inside, you'll learn the 5 C's of Spirit Guide communication, your role with your Spirit Guides, 2 proven effective strategies to stop second guessing yourself and your intuition, and the single most important step to understand your intuitive guidance, along with 4 ways to perceive your spiritual intuitive messages. You'll also be getting a workbook to go through this class as well. You can join at messengerofspirit.com/free class. All right, thanks for listening. So I was recently in North Carolina where my family is. I was there for 3 weeks and we had so much fun. We went to some wineries and we had some really funny laughs too. So I might save a couple stories for another episode on that, but oh my goodness, some of these stories are funny. But one of the things that happened, I needed to see certain people while I was there because I hadn't seen them for years. So I wanted to see some family members. I wanted to see some friends. And I made some appointments. And when I was tuning into the next couple days from my intuition and talking to my spirit guides, I felt like seeing one of my friends was safe and one of my friends wasn't safe, which was weird. I was like, why wouldn't I feel safe? Well, there is this thing going around called COVID, and my dad has smoldering multiple myeloma. So his immune system is really weakened. My mom also has some ailments that would make it more of a high risk situation. I thought, okay, that's weird. I haven't heard from her. And I just really want to keep this appointment as best I can. I wasn't 100% on it, but I thought, all right. So then my friend reaches out and she says, Whitney, I'm not feeling good. Like it just came out of the blue, but I really think that it's allergies. So, I think I'm okay. And I said, well, you know what? I'm going to plan to come over still. I'm just going to see. I really wanted to see her. But when I hung up the phone, I kind of tuned in because sometimes it's a little hard to get your messages until your mind is clear. So if you're one of my students, I always say, clear your mind before you get the messages. And when I was receiving the messages, I was like, no, Whitney, don't do it. Like, if you go, you're going to have to be really super distanced and it's just not going to be fun and you're going to be worried the whole time. And I just feel like it's better if you don't go. So I had to call her and I said, I'm so sorry. I just don't think that it's responsible of me at this time to come. And she tested negative for COVID. And I was like, I still don't think it's a good idea. My dad's going to be probably going through chemo soon. And I just need to stay probably over here, but let's reschedule. Let's reschedule for the next week. So the day comes around, she had still tested negative and she still didn't feel good. And I said, you know what? I'm sorry. I guess I'm just not going to be able to see you. Now, this is like one of my best friends. I haven't seen her for a year. And I thought, this is such a bummer, such a bummer. Turns out, a couple days later, she tested positive. So this is how my spirit guides helped me to protect myself and to protect my family. So I was so thankful for my guides where I was already tuning into it ahead of time and felt weird about it versus just trying to push through when logically we thought it is probably allergies. The pollen's crazy right now. And she had all the symptoms just for that. So that's one example. Now, I did want to let you know I have some good news. What's really interesting, this is like a side note if you're interested. My dad has been going to his oncologist, and you know me, like for the last couple years, I've been getting him on like fruits and veggies. I even did like a GI sensitivity test because intuitively I've been telling him for years to stop eating milk and gluten. It just felt like that was really kind of causing his immune system to go crazy. And so I got a scientific test and he saw the results. So he's actually been doing better on some of this stuff. And when I was there, I got him walking. And when I'm there, his spirit seems to kind of pick up on becoming a little bit more youthful. So the last time he went to his oncologist said, you have to start chemo now. And my dad said, can you please just delay it 3 months? I haven't seen my daughter in a year and I want to see her and have fun before I get sick. And his doctor said, okay, so I'll see you in 3 months. And, my dad basically kind of was really asking to delay it. So I was there. I planned to be there so I could see him before he went to chemo. And he was going to his first appointment, meaning his initial appointment, to then come up with a treatment and get the dates. And he went into the oncologist and the oncologist said, well, your numbers are stable. I'll just see you again in another 3 months. So we had a big win. We are excited. And I'm so happy that that happened. So I wanted to share some positive news with that for those of you who've been asking about it. Now, the last tip that I do want to share for those of you who really have trouble trusting, this is an exercise that will let that ego mind kind of play itself out. What I'd like for you to do is the Hind-Sight 2020 exercise. I'd like for you to list, when did you think things would work out and what did work out? So I'd like for you to get out your journal, get out a piece of paper and write down all the things that you thought intuitively would work out and that did, and write them all down. And this will give your brain and your ego proof that it worked out. But I also want you to write down all the things that didn't work out from your ego's perspective. So write down all the things that you feel like didn't work out. Even if you're like, well, Whitney, I don't remember if I thought that it was going to work out and it didn't, or maybe you thought that it wasn't going to work out and it didn't work out. What I'd like for you to do is just write down what didn't work out. I know this sounds weird, but stay with me. Then I want you to write down the lessons and the positive things that came from it. Ooh, this is a really great exercise because you might have said, I really wanted that relationship to work out. I really wanted that job to work out. I really wanted to work with that client. I really wanted to say yes to this, but I didn't. And what did you learn from it? This is going to help you see that the things that didn't work out really did. And your spirit guides are always working in your favor. So understanding, well, maybe it's happenstance. No, not when you write down all these things. This gives your mind, your ego, proof that things have worked out, regardless if you feel like they didn't work out the way you wanted them to. They worked out in the end, right? They worked out in the end. These are some tips to help you trust your spirit guides. All right. So I would love to hear from you over on Instagram. Again, find me over there, DM me, let me know what your favorite episodes are. And another way that you can let me know what your favorite episodes are is by going right here to this podcast and downloading your favorite episodes. This will let me know what you want more of. It's a custom curated list so I can see what topics are in alignment with you. And also, don't forget to check out the podcast review giveaway. And I have linked in this podcast show notes my free Spirit Guide Masterclass to help you learn how to communicate with your guides. So if you're interested in trusting your guides, this class is going to be about 60 minutes to help you go even deeper. All right, I'll see you in the next episode. But for now, here's to staying spiritual and ambitious. Thanks so much for listening to this episode. And if you loved it, would you please share it with a friend? I would also love your review and a reminder to subscribe so you never miss an episode. You can find me at messengerofspirit.com, and you can take the 4 Intuitive Languages quiz and find show notes there too. If you want to connect on YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram, you can find me at Messenger of Spirit. If you want to continue the conversation, join my free Facebook group at messengerofspirit.com/group. I'll meet you right here next week. Here's to staying spiritual and ambitious.
This podcast is part of the Sound Advice FM network. Sound Advice FM. Women's voices amplified.